two, three, four. Do, 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 ba, ba, ba. All right, we're rolling live from the wasteland. This is Freedomville out here, and hey, like to subscribe here in the Survival Pod. And what's the topic today? You know, I was sitting there watching this article about how the people who made the daycare centers, that Leering Center, have vacated the premises. All the signage is gone. The people that were there are gone. And I say, as predicted. And this gets into one of the reasons I believe if you're an immigrant recently arrived here, you shouldn't be give any access to any government money. Where am I going with this? Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's get into it. Always turn up the video speed. Why do I say that? Because, dude, you should be watching videos faster. That's why the channel's called Turn Up the Video Speed. When I upload it, you should watch it at least at 1.75. Let's get into this. As I predicted, you will start seeing these people that are committing horrible levels of fraud, and even casual fraud, fleeing the country. They know they're likely going to get thrown in jail. And they know they've already fleeced you out of God knows how much money, how many millions, if not billions of dollars over the last number of years. They don't give a fuck about their holdings here. Let me repeat that. They do not give a flying fuck about their holdings here. Just like somebody who commits fraud, an illegal immigrant who comes here and then basically is, using someone else's social security number or driver's license or something else, when they have enough money and they know they'll be fine in the old country, they leave. This is not a new thing. I've seen people legally show up here and set up entire businesses for X amount of years and bring in their family members on a rotating basis to avoid paying taxes. And when the business isn't profitable enough, they either sell it off to another family member to repeat the scam of the cycle, or the business just shuts down. I can't count how many times when I was trucking, there'd be a good Chinese buffet that was doing great. And then magically, at the end of December, no note, no warning, no nothing. They just shut down and they disappear at the end of a tax year. Wow, what a surprise. Almost like it was the plan. Now, when people are doing that legally, you don't think that criminals are doing the very same thing? You don't think criminals from other countries who come here, scam our system, aren't thinking, okay, I've built up enough of a palace in the old country with all these stupid Americans' money. We'll keep on milking it as long as it doesn't look like... And honestly, this is the problem with the American system to some degree. If you're a criminal who does something stupid like, armed robbery, they are quick to show up with guns placed on you to arrest you. But when you're robbing the people of tax dollars, welfare funds, funds that are supposed to help people have children in daycares, supposed to help people have health care, supposed to help people have food, housing, all this shit. When you rob people using the government apparatus, they are slow as fuck to bust you. Why? Because usually there's some party involved. This case, it's usually the Democrats. Make no mistake, just like military-industrial complex with the conservatives. You guys remember Bush? Like I told you, I'm a laid-back libertarian. I'll criticize both sides. You remember Bush? Do you think there weren't a lot of weapons contractors getting rich after 9/11? Yeah. The equivalent to this is the way the Democrats have set up social programs. They get scammed. And that's not just on the mega level like what you see with the Somalians and the crap coming out of California, Oregon, Washington. Every blue state seems to have this issue. And by the way, if you're a Democrat, and I'm not talking a far leftist, I'm talking a regular working class Democrat. You're for the working man, union-style Democrat from back in the day. I'm sorry to tell you this, but now you are basically been forced by Overton's window being pushed so far, you are now basically a conservative light because you're a sensible person. You know at your heart of hearts that this corruption, this exploitation of our system, of our social system to help people out of a hole, you don't agree with this. Just like the conservatives do it. It should be something that both of you can agree on, that corruption of this type should be stopped. This should be kids being able to go to trade schools cheaper. Like you see these H-1Bs that come over here with their education from some other country where it only costs 10% what it cost in America. Then they come over here and take the jobs that your kids were supposed to do. You should have a problem with that. And all this money that was pissed away, like some people have estimated just in the Minnesota fraud alone, the people of Minnesota, you could have forgiven at least 1/3 or more of the student loans of everybody in the what do you call it? And everybody in Minnesota. Think about that. You don't have to be on the right or the left to understand that fraud of this level is a bad thing. Now, as I predicted, because you don't need to be a genius to predict this, I don't claim to be some fucking, guru from on high. I'm just a dude talking on a phone in his van, looking at some Christmas lights. Just watching the world like a sage out in the waste, just watching the world. And it seems like the most common sense answer is the fucking minute these people look like they were going to get drug into courts, they just hop a plane to another country. And you know why they were able to hop that plane? Because unlike you, when you get pulled over by the police, or you get, someone calls, like say your ex or girlfriend or whatever calls the cops on you, or whatever happens, you do some minor fuck shit, the guns are put on you. But the people that are scamming the government, there's a large segment of the government that doesn't want those people to get busted, doesn't want those people to testify. So those people got the word, and they're like, shit, shut down the Leering Center. Yeah, shut that down. What do you want to bet? You're never going to catch those people. Unless we did a SEAL team drop into fucking Somalia, and we grabbed those people and drug them back. And that's just a waste of time and money. You're going to see a lot of this. And there's the casual fraud that happens on the lower ends of welfare where immigrants show up and they literally just crank out a kid and then live off the system and pay basically nothing into the tax system. Actually, they're not paying anything to it. They're such a complete net negative because they're not paying into the federal, the state, the unemployment, the Social Security. They're not. You don't fool yourself. The corporations that are hiring these people that know they're illegals are not paying that. They're paying them under the table, because they just write it off on their business. Oh yeah, we just totally did all that work ourselves. They're not paying in. That is a level of fraud that we are so used to in America that we don't even think about it. But do you think somebody who's scamming multiple millions, if not billions of dollars over the years, hasn't already hopped a plane to live in their palace back in whatever home country they're at? You don't need to be a genius to see what's going to happen. And the Democrats and the pussy conservatives, let's be honest, the conservatives should have been pushing to arrest these motherfuckers. When the corruption was revealed, before Nick Shirley revealed the corruption in Minneapolis, there were people talking about it. This should have been taken care of ages ago. But no, they're going to make a shit. And this is funny. Isn't this kind of like what happened back during the Biden administration? Like there were a bunch of people pointing out how Biden basically had a bunch of ties to, fake oil companies in fucking Ukraine and ties to China. And isn't it amazing how much shit happened under Biden? Like the fact that we're even in dealing with Ukraine is literally a Biden hangover. And all because they had some, by the way, this is why the Epstein thing does matter. Whether you care about it or not, I don't even care if you care about the people that were involved. You should care about the fact that your politicians could have dirt on them that could be used as leverage to get them to do things. And all those people scamming your system could be that person that has the dirt on the politicians, has the dirt on the whole ass party. That's why they're letting them get away. This isn't complicated. But the fact that people make it complicated, and there's a reason for that, is quite simple. They want to put a big illusion in front of you and show you this situation. By the way, if you want to talk, you need to be a subscriber. Nothing personal. I just think if you're going to be chatting away in my deal, at the very least, I should get something out of it. And if people expect me to read comments, I mean, it's not like I'm asking for a super chat or anything, even though maybe I should. Maybe I should set up the Cash App. You know, just saying. There's other people doing it. Why not me? All I'm saying is be a subscriber if you expect me to read your comments. These people will leave the country and they will laugh about it because they have scammed your system. They lived high on the hog in America. And when they looked like they were getting busted, all they had to do was say, you're racist, you're Islamophobic, you're this, you're that. And that was enough smokescreen for them to hop a fucking plane and go back to whatever rat shit country they're from. And by the way, their life has got exponentially better, as that money was probably sent over to Dubai and then funneled and washed, made clean into whatever currency is necessary, even maybe gold, silver, whatever. And then they live in their home country off of all the money that you pay taxes for, laughing about it. Fucking stupid Americans. If you don't think I'm right, just wait. Just wait. It's going to come out. They're going to talk about it like, rats and roaches fleeing the boat. But in reality, it's like the joke of like an OnlyFans whore. Even if she hates you, she's got your money. She's got your money. They've got your money. So when they flee the country and go back to what is now probably a palace in whatever rat shit country they're from, they won. What should have happened was those people should have been arrested a lot sooner. They should have been detained a lot sooner. And if it was an actual American citizen that didn't have anywhere else to go, they would have done it. Remember, if you commit a traffic crime, the cops can show up and pull guns on you if you act any sort of way, because you're a captured people. They know whether you like it or not, you're going to pay whatever taxes they can exploit out of you via the system. They know you've got nowhere else to go. This is your home country, and I don't care whether it's America, Canada, fucking, the UK, Europe in general. They know you've got nowhere else to go. They can treat you whatever fucking way they want. Meanwhile, they let immigrants into your countries, and in particular in this case, America. Let immigrants into your country and let them scam on your welfare system and let them set mega scams up, probably, most likely, not only to take the money. I bet if you catch some of these rats, here's what's going to come out. It's going to turn out that the scammed money mostly went to the scammers, but a certain portion of it via different corporations, LLCs and all that shit, different little setup groups, makes its way back into the Democrats' funding. And it wouldn't surprise me if conservatives have done the same thing. But it seems like the Democrats are the Michael Jordans of fucking scams. And they're doing it because they love you. They're doing it because they care about the little guy. Meanwhile, some Somalians sitting there with a nice drink in their hand on the beach, laughing themselves to the bank. Yeah, man, that's what you're paying for. That's why you're seeing these roaches hop on a plane and go back to their countries. They don't want to get caught. They don't want to be on a trial. They don't even want to deal with it, and they don't have to. And because the Democrats did such a good job of cucking all of you by just using a few magic words, you're racist, you're Islamophobic. Because they did this, you will you will see these people. They'll just disappear. And you know what the sad part about it is? Because it works so well, don't be surprised if in a number of years they do it again. They do it again. And this is actually why, whether you like or hate conservatives, if you hate conservatives, this definitely isn't the message for you. This is why it's important to make sure to take the House, the Senate, and the presidency as often as possible so you can set up the courts, the Supreme Court, the lower courts. You need to have the courts and the DAs in every city on a law and order platform. Because what we have right now, leftover hangover of Obama, It's not that Obama, his laws, like some of the things he did were just plain stupid, and printing money was plain stupid. The Affordable Care Act, mixed reviews. But here's what it is. He set up the courts. He set up the lower courts primarily. He couldn't get the higher courts, but he could flood the lower courts with people who think the way he wants them to think. And what happens with that? Then the lower courts just pay no mind when the crime happens. The DAs pay no mind, just like with the mayors who pay no mind, who literally order their police to stand down. You know, that's why it matters. That's the only reason the elections matter. It doesn't. The president is a factor, but it's the courts between the Supreme Court and the lower courts. But I'd argue the Supreme Court can only do so much. It's the lower courts that probably really matter. Because what's happening boots on the ground in your little hometown, your big city, your anything is more affected by who's letting a criminal, like someone's committed like 30 or 40 crimes. And a lot of the crimes, they don't even consider a crime because under $1,000, it's just, catch and release. So there's so many crimes that they don't want to actually have them reported as crimes because it makes statistics look bad. But then when these people get busted, they constantly get let out. Who do you think's doing that? Judges. This should be its own separate recording, by the way. And I point this out because this is why these rats fleeing the ship, when it comes to all the Somali fraud and all these, whether it's Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, wherever you go, any major Democrat enclave, including some Republican states that happen to have cities that are Democrat, you go to any of these places and you're seeing the same scams. And these people that are foreign doing it, and this is why I say foreigners should not be allowed to get one fucking government dime whatsoever until you have been here for a long ass time. I'm not talking a few years, I'm talking 20 or 30. Yeah, you should show up here and actually be willing to work. If you're going to show up here to work, be working, be contributing, and then prove you're worthy of being part of our society. But the fact that you've set up the system that it's actually better to be a scammer than a regular working class person, whether it's a business owner or an employee. The fact that you've made it better to be a scammer, big surprise, people who come from the second and third world are going to show up and start scamming. And then you have the judges set up right there. The judges are all set up, perfectly set up to say, put a slap on the wrist, say, there's nothing to see here, there's nothing to see here. Oh, there's other people that noticed that you were scamming. They're just racist. It's not hard to figure out why this is happening. You don't have to be a fucking, like a wizard or some shit. You don't need no crystal ball to figure this out. You set up incentives, people are attracted by the incentives, and then people do the system that works. That's why I say that immigrants shouldn't get a damn bit of benefits. Now I'll read this comment and I'll move on. The estimate of the fraud could be up to $9 billion alone. Yeah, just in Minneapolis. He's right. It's probably more than that. $9 billion could have done a lot of good for a lot of people. Could have been a lot of kids in trade schools. Could have been a lot of people, being able to maybe have an affordable house somewhere. Building affordable housing. God, so much shit could have done with $9 billion. Instead, some Somalis partying on a beach right now, just laughing their ass off. Just saying. It's not a surprise when some of these businesses just magically close up, like the jig is up, and they already have your money, just like an OnlyHands whore. Like, even if she hates you, I have your money. I've got your money. And they're going to fly off back to their home countries. And make no mistake, you bet that there were a bunch of shell companies that were funneling things to the DNC. And you'll probably see some of the same scams being done by conservatives as well. But primarily, the Michael Jordan of the government scam is the Democrats. And who set up the infrastructure for that? Barack Obama. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's get into it. Y'all take it easy.